Oh, this is my cat YouTube. Yeah, she's pretty feisty right now.
Nice.
Yeah, she's sick. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. Yeah, she's pretty feisty. Oh fuck. All right, cool, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast. It's
Yeah,
good to finally chat with you.
for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
we've put YouTube down here. Hopefully she stays down there. Yeah, it's been fun playing you in chess. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah, totally.
good experience.
Who
How
else?
long?
What are you playing?
I'm actually playing Tice from Noisia, and
Ah,
who else am I playing? The toughest opponent that I play is a friend of mine from. Well, actually, I'm playing my teacher as well, who's like rated like 2400. But that's like I don't expect to win those games. They're actually more just instructional.
for
Uh,
sure. That sounds
and
awesome. I've been thinking about getting a teacher recently. Um, yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds fun.
yeah, I mean, considering you've not got a teacher, you're really good. So like, how have you like gotten to that
Just
level? Like
YouTube.
YouTube, yeah. Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. Do you watch like Eric Rosen videos and John Bartholomew and all that kind of stuff?
I watched John Bartholomew. He's probably my favorite. Some of the other guys like Rosen and what's his name, Gotham. Like
Like Ben
sometimes
Feingold and shit.
sometimes I feel like those guys like specialize in beating weaker players. Like they'll show you all the gambits and like the super like prickly lines that really don't work against like good opponents, but it's like traps for lower rated people. And I just like I'm not trying to learn like that.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Eric Rosen's all about like using the Stafford Gambit to win your opponent's queen and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's always just on Lee chess, yeah, playing like shitty opponents. But yeah, actually, I have two teachers. I have one who's a national master and another one who's a grandmaster. And yeah,
Wow.
I've been getting lessons from the grandmaster one for like maybe a month, and I've been getting lessons from the national master for like 6 months. Um,
Wow, that's awesome.
yeah, it's been pretty cool. Basically, the grandmaster dude who I started getting lessons off a month, he showed me those two openings, the Perk and the London, and he was like, "You should just play those two for now." And the reason why is because you can just play them against anything. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what your opponent does; it's not going to fuck the opening up for you. Whereas, like if you play something super sharp, like the Sicilian, your opponent can play like some random shit like the Dutch or the English or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're in a completely different opening.
Yeah, you have to know so much more theory with those kinds of openings.
Yeah, exactly. The Sicilian is like specifically sharp. I feel like where you just need to know like 30 moves of deep theory to be able to really play it efficiently.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so the hardest opponent that I regularly play who isn't my teacher is this guy from Oakland who I actually taught at Berkeley. He's like this Iranian dude who's rated about 1700. And I've been playing him for like 6 months in daily games, and I still have not beat him. So
That's I mean that's awesome. That's awesome. Cuz like when there are people that you know personally, you can like analyze the game afterwards and I feel like that's when you really learn. Like playing is just like the act of making the mistakes. Analysis is like the act of like learning, from the mistakes. So, that's sweet to actually have somebody that you know.
yeah, totally. Yeah, chess is also just such a like good thing to cure boredom. I feel like it's like
Yeah.
such a good thing to occupy your brain when you're not like doing other shit like making tunes.
Yeah. I mean to me they're the same. It's like a conquest. You're never going to know everything there is to know about producing. You're never going to know everything there is to know about chess. Like you can, as a hobby, like there's some things you can pick up and then you've learned it and it's like, "All right, I'm done with it." But something like music or chess, it's like you can literally go forever. It can be like a lifetime thing.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things like that. I feel that way about cooking as well. It's like you can
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
continuously never get like the best at it. There's always going to be somebody who's like better than you at cooking one style of food, even if you like are the best in the world at making croissants or something. It's like someone's always going to be better at like cooking Asian soups or something.
So have you been going crazy like in the kitchen this year or last year?
Not like not massively, definitely crazier than I've gone in like the last, like
Yeah,
the rest of my life. But yeah, I've been baking a little bit, mostly croissants and cookies. And
that's awesome.
yeah, and what else have I been making? I've been making shitloads of granola actually.
Oh,
It's
okay.
super easy to make. I mean, it's just like oats and nuts and like cardamom and cinnamon and shit like that, and then you just bake it with oil and maple syrup and
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it wasn't raw.
I mean, maybe it can be, but I definitely bake mine.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Nice.
wonder if granola is usually raw. Maybe it is.
I don't know. I haven't been doing anything like that. I recently got an air fryer, so that's been cool.
Dude, yeah, air fryers are so good.
Yep, I got an Instapot, so that's just like super easy. Um, but I'm not like crazy into cooking or food really at all. I pretty much eat for function.
Really?
Yep,
In that case, like, why don't you just drink Soylent or something?
I do. Yeah, Soylent's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I recently like try I love like I'm a big fan of Soylent too, mostly because not because I like to just eat for function or whatever, but mostly because like I hate wasting time,
Yeah,
and
totally.
I'm really bad at like being super engrossed in something, whether it be like chess learning or whether it be like, you know, music making. Like I get super deep into a thing and then I'm like, fuck, I don't want to stop for like an hour to make food.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in those cases
A lot,
I'll
a lot of successful people are like that. Like they all their focus is reserved for like one or two things in their life, and everything else is simplified so they don't have to, like fashion designers who just wear all black every day, like the
hmm,
same shit every day. They're not focused on anything else, just what they're creating, curating, whatever.
really, who's a fashion designer who just wears all black?
Probably a lot of them, but I used to watch it's like one of the contests like Project Runway. So they have a bunch of designers, they're competing, whatever. But Michael Kors literally wears the same shit every day. It's like a black blazer with a black tee and black jeans. And that's
Hmm.
it. Like he wakes up, it's just a row of that in his closet, and he's not thinking about it, you know. Um, so yeah, I guess I kind of eat like that.
Hmm. Yeah,
You,
true. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of similar in that way. Like I wear all black mostly because it kind of just goes with any mood, I feel like.
it is also easier. Yeah. Like if you're
Yeah.
not like really good at styling shit, it's just easy.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, going back to Soylent, recently I like went to Amazon and I couldn't find Soylent on there. They were like sold out or something. Um, so I got Huel instead, and it's fucking trash, dude.
It's
It's
what is it made of?
I don't know, but it's like it
Not
sucks.
soy, right?
I don't know. I should Google
Fuel?
it.
I'm guessing like hemp fuel or something.
Yeah, it's made from oats, rice protein, pea protein, sunflower, flaxseed, coconut oil, and a
Yeah.
bunch of vitamins and minerals. And then it's sweetened with sucralose, maltodextrin, and xylitol.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't sound it sounds like a little bit more intervention, with like the sugar alcohols and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's they brand it as like a nutritionally complete food or whatever the fuck. But I mean, I think Soylent is kind of similar. Soylent was made by an engineer. I like
Right.
that it's got a version number. It's up to like version
Yeah.
0.09 or whatever. Soylent ingredients. What's in that shit? Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's like soy protein, canola oil, also maltodextrin, food starch, potassium. Yeah, it's basically just like all the shit you actually need, but not the whole foods that contain it. So
Right.
instead of like having, uh, milk or whatever, instead it just straight up has like magnesium and potassium and all that shit.
Right.
Pretty clever. Yeah, I think I read an article when it first came out where the engineer who made Soylent just thought that eating wasn't efficient enough, and he was like, "Why do we do this? It's so inefficient. We should."
Yeah, I mean, like engineers are like, and like coders, programmers, whatever, like they live kind of similarly to how we do. Like they're at a desk looking at a screen, and the work. Have you done any coding at any point?
No, but my girlfriend is a programmer, and yeah, I live with like, around tons of programmers.
For sure, for sure. Well, it's like it's a super similar experience to like producing in the sense that like you just kind of go into a trance and you come out of it and it's like 8 hours later, you know,
Mm. Do you still go into those trances a lot with music and stuff?
every day, every day.
Really?
In my typical day, like especially when I think about like what I end up eating, I'll eat breakfast and then I'll sit down and if I'm writing something I'm stoked on, like my wife gets home from work at like 8 and I'm like, fuck, I didn't eat, you know, since breakfast. I didn't move since breakfast. So that still
Oh,
happens all the time.
wow, crazy. Yeah, I for some reason don't have that experience as much as I used to. When like back in the day, I would have that experience more where I would be just like making music and like super into a thing, and then I'd hear my dad get up in the morning and start coughing, and I'd be like, "Oh shit, it's 6 a.m." Like,
Yeah, exactly.
um, that was like when I was still living at home with my parents and stuff. But I haven't had that experience in a while. Usually now it's like I feel like I'm more balanced than I used to be. Like I used to be super bad at I just had music and like that's all I was doing, and I would just be mega into that. But now it's kind of like I'm able to be like, all right, I'm gonna go like for a bike ride and do some exercise, and then I'm gonna like, spend an hour doing chess, and then I'm gonna like make some food, and now I'll write music for like, an hour, and
I've definitely gotten to those points where I did have more like life balance, but my music I didn't think was as good.
Hmm.
Be perfectly honest, I just didn't think it was as good. And to me, it's like it's that important to me where I'm like, yeah, fine, I'll just go back to that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, if you feel like yeah, if it's worth those sacrifices. I feel that way about mountain biking. Like I
Oh,
know it's just, yeah, I'm super into it. I know that it's like inevitable that I'm gonna like break a bone. It's just the risk you take with mountain biking, basically. But it's
yeah.
worth it to me because it's it's so fun.
It's objectively a bad idea.
Yeah,
Not
it's a yeah. Like when you start mountain biking, your micro morts just go way up. So like a micro mort is a like a one. I think it's 1 in a million chance that you will die. What is it like? Yeah, a micro mort is a unit of risk defined as a 1 in a million chance of death. So everyone incurs a certain amount of micro morts by like random activities, like
who like came up with this unit? Is it like a insurance company or something?
probably.
Or like, who uses it? You know what I mean? Like I've actually never heard that.
Oh, the micromort concept was introduced by Ronald A. Howard, who pioneered the modern practice of decision analysis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Risk analysis. It's kind of similar.
Yeah, totally. Um, Interesting. Yeah. But anyway, so I know when you start mountain biking, your micromorts just go up a ton. Uh, but yeah, also like your fun units go up a ton too. So that's
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm
yeah.
sure.
So yeah, it kind of makes it worth it. Yeah, what are they actually real decks behind you, or is that also just a part of the
That there
image?
are there are real decks behind me, but you cannot see them. That's just part of the image that I just grabbed before we came on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sick. Have you been so mainly your days like through quarantine have consisted of making music?
Yeah, pretty much every day I'm making music. I try to get a workout in pretty much every day. Halfway through last year, I got a basketball hoop for my backyard. So kind of got back into that because actually in February or March of last year, all the rims of public courts were taken down. Like,
Uh,
and they're still down.
hmm,
Like the entire state has no jumper whatsoever. It's
hmm.
crazy. So
They're like, we can't trust it. These chads, they're gonna come out. They're gonna hang on both sides of the thing and blow in each other's face. Like, we got to
But
take them down.
yeah, people would go play, but it's kind of crazy because like bars and clubs are open in Georgia. Georgia's obviously just all fucked up, but for whatever reason, the like public parks and basketball courts, they were sticklers about. But so I have that, those three things: walking my dog, hanging out with neighbors.
Cool.
Pretty much it.
Sick. Yeah, that sounds pretty fun. Yeah, I haven't been hanging out with neighbors so much. Basically, like what I'm doing is trying to stick with just a pod of people who don't interact with people outside of that pod. So
Right.
essentially it's just like me living in this household by myself, and then my girlfriend's household of 10 people, and I just like go and hang out with them, and they don't interact with anyone else outside of the house except for me. And
It's definitely more limiting in like a denser city like San Francisco. Like I live in Atlanta, and like I live in a house. My neighbor's in a house. So, everybody here is in a house with like land and like a backyard. So we pretty much exclusively hang out outside. So it'll be like a bonfire situation where everyone is distanced and wearing masks and all that kind of stuff.
nice. Yeah, it sounds pretty chill.
Yeah. Been good.
Yeah, got to watch out for this new strain that's going around the
Yeah.
the UK
I
strain
mean,
or whatever.
yeah. It sucks.
Have you heard of the subreddit "Leopards Ate My Face"?
Nope.
So it's this like political subreddit, and it stems from this meme of some lady who was like, "Oh, when I voted for the Leopards Ate My Face party, I didn't think they would eat my face." And then it's basically like a bunch of political memes about like Republicans who voted for Republicans, and then we're like, how the hell could they do this?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's this one specifically funny one where some like senator or some like upper dude from the UK government had a tweet where he was like, "Oh, it's not like racist if we call like food made in China Chinese food, or Indian food made in India Indian food. So why is it racist if we call it the China virus?" And then there was like another tweet from him like a few months later. Um, I'll remind you again at this point that this is like a senator or whatever from the UK, like he's high up in the government there. And he had another tweet from like 2 months later saying like, just because this UK strain, this virus of the UK strain was like found in the UK first, doesn't mean it was originated here. So like, stop calling it the UK virus.
Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah. Now that Trump is out of office, I've been like kind of finding some of his tweets like funny again.
Like old archived ones?
Yeah, can I read you one?
Please.
I'll try and find it. I never want to read it like not directly word for word because it's just the best worded thing. So you've got to imagine it. I think as if like this is some kid on YouTube who's just shit posting. All right, this is the tweet. He said, as I have stated strongly before, and just to reiterate, if Turkey does anything that I, in my great and unmatched wisdom, consider to be off limits, I will totally destroy and obliterate the economy of Turkey. I've done this before.
Yeah, it's terrifying, man. That guy was really our president.
Yeah.
And you see
Insane.
now he's like started his own like office of Donald Trump, and it's like made to look all presidential and shit. Have you seen that?
Wait, what?
He's I guess they're trying to like retain his base, so they like rolled out this like very like presidential kind of government looking announcement that was like it was announcing like the office of President Trump. It's probably something to like subscribe to or give us your email address or something like that.
Oh, because he got like deplatformed from everything.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So he's just trying to keep his grip.
Did you see the Four Seasons thing that Trump did?
Oh yeah.
That was so funny. He's like, I'll be holding a conference later at Four Seasons, and it's just like the most ghetto like landscaping place. It's the weirdest shit ever.
Yep.
How is how is like the Georgia energy around the election times?
Well, Georgia actually was obviously like it was a big deal here because we went blue and then we flipped the Senate later. So ads were everywhere like I've never seen. Um, but in a weird way, it was like you already knew where everybody stood because like masks and shit and quarantining and social distance, they all kind of became politicized. So Georgia's been open, like was one of the first states to open, like like kind of like similar to how like everybody makes fun of Florida. Like they should be
Mhm.
making fun of Georgia too. Like if I'm pretty close to downtown, if I walk down there, there's half the people here are just out eating at restaurants, like drinking at bars, like packed clubs, all that. Um, and they know who you are because you're wearing a mask. You know who they are because they're not. Um, so you kind of already knew where everybody stood, even before it got down to like really crunch time of like the elections and stuff.
Hmm. So
But
you think like just based on what you saw, it was just like a 50-50 split of
yeah, it's I mean, like from the vote, it was like literally, very close to 50-50. Like we had to have a Senate runoff because that's how close it was. Um, but Stacey Abrams, I'm not sure if that name rings a bell for you, but she ran for what was it? She lost to like Kemp, and she got cheated via like voter suppression. So for the presidential race and for the Senate race, she decided her conquest was going to be like combating voter suppression and like registering new Black voters. She's an African American woman, and she crushed it. She like single handedly, her programs registered like I don't know, like 800,000 new Black voters who were voting for the first time, and like she was that whole movement was like a huge part of Georgia going blue and then flipping the Senate. Um, so yeah, she's awesome.
Nice. That sounds sick. Yeah, man, it was a crazy time. I'm glad that that Trump is not president anymore. And I'm glad that he may never be able to run again, which is really cool.
Yeah, we'll see. I was talking to my mom about this because like before he was officially out, like a lot of people were talking about like, oh, for unity's sake, like do you kind of let him off the hook, for everything and then the insurrection, or do you, hold him accountable and, send a message to future politicians that you can't be doing shit like this. And my mom, I knew she had lived through like the Nixon shit when Truman, gave him his pardon or whatever, they made that deal. And I was like, what was the nation like? Like what was the allocation? And she said it was like 75-25. And she was glad that they pardoned him. And this time it's 50-50, which is like way worse. It's
Mm.
like perfectly even split. Um yeah, but she was still like, fuck it, throw him in jail.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he should be pardoned. Just after all the shit he's done, I think it's probably worse than Nixon, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I didn't live through it, but that's how it feels to me. It feels like he himself like was a stress test for like what you can get away with, as a leader in America, as a representative in America. And like if if like people thought they were bold before, now it's just like fuck, we can get away with anything. So if there's no accountability after all that, it's like fuck it, off to the races.
Mm. Yeah. Yes. Crazy shit. Yeah, I can't actually vote here, so I don't really have like a say, unfortunately. But yeah, this watching the whole thing was fucking crazy. especially here in San Francisco. I mean, like here is just such a blue area.
For
Like
sure.
I feel like there's very small amount of people in San Francisco who voted red.
What was it like over there after Trump was getting banned, and kind of half of America was trying to spin the whole thing and like direct the focus on like censorship and stuff like that? Were people taking that narrative seriously and like
No, not here. I mean, I think people here were just like, basically, like, if you can imagine uh the like logical left leaning viewpoint on pretty much any
right,
issue, like
right.
that's what it is always here. Like no one's ever like, oh, it could
I know
potentially be
where
this other thing.
I know where they stand politically, but like they're talking about censorship, you know, by big tech, right? And like that's where you live. Like those are the tech people. So I didn't know if they
Yeah, no, most people, like, I think here who work in tech kind of agree that tech has maybe too much power. And I mean, most people who work in tech espouse the idea that they think tech is in a bubble. You know, they just think that it's not possible for tech salaries to just stay where they are and all of that kind of stuff. It's just
sure.
that, yeah, we're in like a time right now where the entire world is just controlled basically by Google and Facebook and Apple. And these are like where all my friends work basically. And they're like, at some point, like there's going to be some legislation there that takes away a lot of the power from these companies or starts taxing them way higher, or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Because Europe's been a lot better about that, right? Like they don't like they have like big tech, you know, companies, but they've been better about not letting them get so big.
Right. But I mean, like, think about that in America. Like, imagine if the government goes like, all right, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Facebook, you're all getting like massively taxed and like, fuck you. And then these entrepreneurial guys at the top who are just money making machines are just
Yeah.
going to be like, well, I'm just going to, fuck you. We're not going to make computers. We're not going to make email anymore. We'll try and run your government now.
Right.
They're going to be like, oh shit, actually, we used all that stuff to like operate the country.
For sure.
Um, I mean, it's probably not going to happen, but you know,
Yeah.
I
I'm sure
think,
there's more of a middle ground, but I see what
yeah, and I'm sure like the government is somewhat thinking about that as well. They're like, we need big tech around because it's kind of like the cornerstone of society and all that stuff. But at the same time, yeah, it's like letting
that's
it get so big as a
I
problem.
I wonder that too, like from like from the standpoint of like the global economy, is it worth it to let our tech giants just be fucking massive monopolies just for the sake of dominating like the global economy? You know what I mean? Like I don't know shit about this.
Like, you
But
think is it good for tech to get
like
so big just so America's economy is bigger than the rest of the world's?
well, yeah, like a tech giant from, you know, like Korea or China could end up taking more global market share if they don't if they like enable, you know, their monopolies or whatever and they get massive you see what
Like
I'm saying?
say, yeah, like say they didn't tax Huawei or something, and like we
Exactly. Yeah.
massively taxed iPhones or
Yeah.
something, and then all
And
of a
they
sudden Huawei is like the biggest thing.
right, exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's like that's a thing that they think about definitely. Where yeah, uh, the government sort of also gets some positivity out of tech being so big here because it takes a lot of global market share for sure. But yeah, like I said, most people here in tech definitely agree with what you're saying, that yeah, they should be taxed, and it shouldn't be that big, and they all think it's a bubble and that it's not going to last. But
Yeah. Are you like into like crypto and stuff like that?
no, I mean, I think it's, I don't know, are you or
No, but like in the past 48 hours, I just decided, you know what? I have all this fucking time. Like, let's get into it. I want to like learn, you know, everything there is to know about this.
Mhm.
Um and yeah, I don't know, just speaking of bubbles, I just
Oh, that's the biggest bubble.
yeah.
Yeah, hold on, I found this like tweet thread the other day, um that just explains perfectly how I feel about
Yep. Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. You tweeted it the other day.
Yeah, and that's like exactly how I feel about it. It's essentially like I think it's the biggest Ponzi scheme that's like ever existed.
Yeah.
And essentially like what people are doing for the most part, like I don't disagree that there's like good technology behind this that could actually solve a problem of like centralized currency and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But the way that I mainly see it is like people aren't using it for that reason, right? Like people are not buying Bitcoin so they can like evade banks, because at the same time that they're buying Bitcoin, they all have credit cards and they all have bank accounts, so they don't give a shit about not being seen by the government. They like, I mean, if they did, they wouldn't have bank accounts, right?
Right.
Um, but you need a bank account in this day and age, so it's like there's no evading it right now anyway. But so the people who are buying it now, they're buying it to just find a bigger fool to buy it
Cool.
off them for more money, right? And that's exactly what a pyramid scheme is.
Yeah. Like by definition, more people will lose than will gain. You know.
Yeah, it's what's what's his name? That really rich old guy. Uh,
Take your
what's
pick.
there's a certain guy. It's not Richard Murdoch. It's fuck, what's his name? I don't know. He's like this really old, like rich investor guy. He's huge. His name is like on the tip of my tongue. Fuck. It doesn't matter. Anyway, like he said, if everyone in the world started with like 1 cent, and then every day everyone on the planet like flipped a coin, and whoever like picked the right side of the coin got all the other side of the world's like 1 cent, and then that just kept happening every day. Essentially, you would end up eventually with like a few people having just all of the cents, and tons of like, the wealth would just redistribute the same way that it kind of does already.
Right.
And he said that's just essentially the way the world is working. And I feel like that's especially true of Bitcoin,
Right.
because it's
Well,
essentially just
to some extent, I think it's predatory, right? Because it's like if you don't, it's a greater fool's kind of scheme, you know. But if you don't know who the fool is, it's you. You know what I mean? Like if you don't know everything there is to know about this, if you don't know how to take advantage of somebody else's ignorance, you're probably getting taken advantage of. And so I see all these tweets all the time where it's like, oh, it hit 40,000. Like who else is buying? Everybody buy this. Welcome. And I'm like, you're like you look like one of the losers right now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think a lot of the people on that thread that I tweeted were like kind of angry, because they're like, "Nah, man, you just don't understand. Like, this
Yeah.
is not what you think it is."
Well,
And like,
in the meantime, there are plenty of people who can get lucky and make some money. You know what I mean? And they'll feel validated and feel like there is um, some weight to it. But um, yeah, I don't know. Until it's actually being used, until the currency is like really like actually like functional, you know, I don't see it creating any value. So it's all demand. It's all uh like people just convincing you to buy it because they already own it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's an investment, right? Like you're essentially most people are investing in it so they hope it goes up in value and they can make some quick cash. But imagine if you say like bought a house, right? And then somebody like came and started telling you like, oh, this is going to devalue for sure. Like this housing market is in a bubble. Like you're gonna probably argue with that person and be like, no, man, like I did some research. Like I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure it's not, and like I'm pretty sure this is like gonna go up in value. And you're trying to like convince yourself that it was a good investment. And I think that's what all these people are doing in Bitcoin. They've just,
totally.
yeah, they've just invested a ton, so they don't want it to be bad. And they, I think, see somebody, like me tweeting something like that as uh, just devaluing it by a little bit. And if enough people do that, it's going to devalue it by a lot, and that's going to ruin their investment. So I think that's
I
why
think
they,
I think you're overestimating the people that you're talking about. I don't think they're thinking about that at all.
yeah, they're probably just like,
Uh,
I'm going to make cash. Like,
you're a hater, you know.
yeah. Maybe they're just like, I'm gonna have a Lambo. You
Yeah,
watch.
yeah, exactly.
I like all the Lambo memes. They're like, you
Yeah,
said there would
yeah.
be Lambos. This was especially funny when Bitcoin crashed after it hit like 20 grand last year or the year before. And then there's just tons of memes coming out of like, disheveled people just being like, you said there would be Lambos.
Have you seen the like the Nifty? like like it's like a marketplace for digital art that's on the blockchain.
No. Oh,
It's,
wait. Was that the thing that Jake posted in that thread? Kill the noise.
yeah, it is.
I
Yeah,
looked into it for a sec, but I couldn't understand it.
basically, like you know how like physical art, right? Like a Banksy will get bought, and then as Banksy goes on to become famous, like the art appreciates and like collectors trade and it can appreciate, depreciate, whatever. That that has never been a possibility for like digital art. You know what I mean? Like you make a JPEG, anyone can just download it, post it on their Twitter, put it on a t-shirt, sell a t-shirt, whatever, until you send them a cease and desist, whatever. But this is like the first attempt at making a marketplace where the there's like a master of the art piece, and people are buying like the rights to it, and it's and every transaction is tracked by the blockchain. So um as the artist you could say, I'll sell it to you for X, but then I get 10% of every sale after that, as it, you know, as it exchanges hands over and over and over again. But also just it's helping digital art getting taken more seriously in general. Like one of the guys who used to do a lot of graphic stuff for me, um, you know, wasn't making crazy money. Like you don't make crazy money doing like freelance stuff, you know, for EDM artists. But since this has popped off, he's like crushing it, and his art is like it's like it's revered now because it's just through a new lens.
Interesting. And how does that still stop people from, just chucking these JPEGs up on the Pirate Bay or something?
I have no idea. I have no clue.
This is the thing. I mean, like, there was something a while ago, like, people always think that the blockchain is just the solution for everything, especially in San Francisco. And there was a thing a while ago that was like, we're going to put like STD tests on the blockchain. So it's kind of like if you're going to have like sex with someone, you can just check the blockchain and just like know if they have an STD. And it's like, yeah, but this requires literally everybody on the planet taking an STD test and then uploading their results to the blockchain. And it takes them doing that frequently for it to be of any use. Like, this will never work.
Yeah, that's a terrible. That's a bad application. But there are good ones um DeFi, like decentralized finance. Like if when you try to like you know, borrow money, you're dealing with a bank and all that shit. And with crypto, you can really easily have like decentralized finance where you're lending and borrowing to other people, and it's like it's peer to peer via the blockchain, but there's no, you know, intermediary or anything like that. um
Yeah, for that,
Smart
it makes.
people than me are figuring this out.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. But yeah, again, it's like gonna take everyone adopting it, and it's gonna take better networks than currently exist for it to make any sense. Like everyone was saying with Bitcoin, they're like, yeah, just wait until Lightning comes out. Like that's gonna be so much better, and it's gonna take over everything. And it's like even still with Lightning, you see people, they're like, all right, I'm going to send a transaction, watch this, and then they like hit go, and it's like, all right, waiting. It's like a good 20 seconds, and they're like, see, it just happened. It's like, yeah, but I can go take my fucking Apple Watch down to the convenience store, touch it to a thing, and it's instant.
For sure.
Like until
For
Bitcoin gets to that level of technology. And then they argue like, yeah, well, we have the best engineers ever working on this. It's like, well, obviously not, because I mean, Apple's got better technology, so like they probably have better engineers, it seems like.
Yeah,
Or I guess maybe it's not Apple's technology, it's just like the general EFT technology at large, which has just been developed for a lot longer, I guess.
yeah.
But I don't understand why Bitcoin is so slow. Like I don't understand the tech super well.
I
But
I think for it to be faster, it costs more. Like it costs more for, yeah, to have a higher speed, and most people just prefer like lower transaction costs. I think.
mm,
This is honestly, this is like if people are gonna watch this, like people that really know about crypto, they're just gonna be face palming the whole time because I don't really know what I'm talking about. It sounds like you don't either.
yeah, I don't for sure. I mean, I understand enough to know that it's dumb. or I like to know that like Bitcoin is at least dumb and just this like giantly inflated thing.
Yeah, but I don't think I mean, I think a lot of the people who are investing, it's not that they don't know that. They just think they can game that situation.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, exactly.
it's like that's fine. Like, yeah, you're not an idiot if that's where you're coming from. You're just kind of comfortable with more risk.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends as well who are not necessarily trying to game the situation. Like one of the guys who commented on my thread, who's a good friend of mine, Sticky Buds. He is not necessarily trying to game the Bitcoin system. He's just investing in literally everything because he is, hedging his bets on society just getting wrecked at some point.
He's
So
like
he's
a great reset guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, eventually at some point society's just going to be fucked. So he's like, I'm hedging my bets on that happening. So he's got like Bitcoin, he's got gold, he's got like silver, he's got like
Yeah,
palladium, like all sorts of like precious metals and shit, and like all sorts of currencies and stuff, because he just thinks like at some point fiat and society is gonna be fucked, and you're gonna need like some form of something to operate. So
yeah, yeah. I've seen that kind of swirling uh those kinds of ideas recently, mainly from like kind of like the QAnon sphere.
yeah, do you know Squanto?
Of course.
Yeah, he's a QAnoner.
Yep. Yep.
He's got the most interesting Discord server. I go in there sometimes.
I don't want to know. I promise.
Yeah, it's a fun time though. Yeah, how do you feel about all the QAnon and Pizzagate stuff and the like? What? How do you feel about the Epstein thing?
um I mean, how else is there to feel? Like, if that's if that's what was happening, that's, awful. Um but I think, to me, what's interesting about it is like the people who subscribe to the people who are attracted to these kinds of ideas are like it's like the same kids who are into like astrology or like crystals or like sacred geometry, or they clearly have an affinity for like believing in stuff, you know and so like conspiracies naturally appeal to them. So you
Mm.
have these kind of like new age hippie type people who historically have always been very, very liberal and very like compassionate, empathetic people. um but this time they're indulging in something that's like causing kind of a lot of harm, is the way I see it, at least.
Mm. Yeah, I mean the side of the Epstein thing. I mean, obviously it's like a fucked up situation, but I do think that story makes like that's one of the conspiracies I think that is actually not like bullshit. The
Sure.
fact that he like killed himself, right? It's just the story is
Totally.
too
And
weird to
you
be
can
like,
never blanket every like conspiracy and be like they're all, bullshit. Like, I'm not saying that. But there's clearly a group of people that just they can't help themselves when they want to believe in the ancient aliens. They want to believe in, like, I get it. Like, I've seen the Ancient Alien show and been like, oh, that's cool. Like, it feels good, when you start kind of giving into that. Um, but
yeah, it feels
some
like
of these
you know
things,
something that other people don't know or something. And
sure, yeah, there's a million reasons. And like the religious people, like they're kind of in the same boat, like totally different type of person, but I think like faith-based stuff obviously speaks to them because they're like into religion. So believing again in like this conspiracy thing, like it makes sense. Like, it really aggregated a lot of different types of people, I think, for similar reasons, I guess.
mm, yeah, fucking problems.
Yeah, it's nuts. I have like, do you have like friends of yours that are like into that or have been into that?
Into conspiracies?
Like the QAnon stuff specifically, I guess.
Yeah, like Squanto is a good friend of mine, and
Sure. Okay.
he's like massively into that shit.
Yeah.
And I guess like Sticky Buds as well, the guy who's
Yeah.
posting on my thread about Bitcoin being good. He's also a pretty big conspiracy theorist. Which I mean, like some of them make a bit of sense, right? Like the Pizzagate one, I think it's like bullshit, and the reason why is because like someone broke in there with a gun,
Right.
trying to find a pedophile ring in a basement of a pizza store that didn't have a basement. It's
Yeah.
like how can you see that one as legit? But also, it's like if you check, I think it was the owner of the pizza store's house, and you see the kind of the kind of art that he has like hanging up on his walls, it's pretty freaking questionable art. Like it's weird, like childishly occult, like fucking just
Right.
strange art. Like who else? Like
Yeah.
why would
Yeah.
yeah, like why would you have that kind of art hanging in your house? So there is like questionable shit surrounding these situations, and I could see how you could easily construe it as some weird stuff going on. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, actually, I had Squanto on this podcast a while ago, and he actually did not become like when he was being recorded, he didn't get that open about like conspiracy theory. So I think to some degree he's like not trying to be super public about it, which is why I think he got off his Twitter and started a Discord server too.
Yeah.
Because you don't want people arguing with you, telling you that your shit is wrong, which is also why I think Bitcoiners get annoyed. Yeah, it just doesn't feel good to be wrong. Which is why it also feels bad losing at chess. Because then you're like, no, I was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I still like it. I think I like losing more than I like winning.
Really?
That makes sense. Yeah, because it's like every move you make is like to some extent it's like an estimation. You've calculated as far as you really can in your head, and you're like, I think I have an advantage if I go this way. So if you get proven wrong, it's like, oh, that's a surprise. Like it's more exciting to be proven wrong than it is like, oh yeah, I was right.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, so pretty much every move I make, I like set up a conditional line, and I always like coming back and being like, oh, sick, I got like 6 moves into my conditional line. Like that's sick.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then other times coming back and being like, ah, it didn't work. And then having to like recalculate a whole new thing. I guess like having to recalculate a whole new thing is kind of fun because it gives you like more shit to do.
Does your teacher ever talk about the like when to calculate more and when it's actually better to calculate less? Because sometimes in like the opening, maybe middle game, obviously like end game you have to calculate, but before that I feel like sometimes if you calculate like a really specific line, you can get into trouble because now all of a sudden you're kind of contradicting some of like the fundamental ideas just for this one specific line that like maybe that's the one, but if you're wrong it's
Yeah, like if it doesn't have it, yeah. Not really. I mean, like, yeah, really, my teacher or both of them, kind of more speak about just sticking to fundamental stuff, right? Like, try not to isolate your pawns, try not to double. I mean, so the thing about doubled pawns that you were talking about that
you
time,
double pawns all the time.
it's not always bad though.
No,
Like,
it's not.
yeah, it's not bad if they're connected. It's bad if they're isolated. So, like, if you have, say, 2 pawns on the H file and 2 pawns on the F file, and they're not connected to each other, then that's like a chronic weakness. But if you have like another pawn connecting them on the G file, so you have like kind of a triangle of pawns or whatever, they're all protecting each other, so they're still strong.
Sure.
And in some ways, they're like stronger, right? Because if your king is behind all of those pawns, it's going to be harder to get to it than if it's just behind the standard 3 pawns that would be there otherwise.
Like so, but when I watch John, like in good games, if he gets a 1 pawn advantage, he's trading everything, just trading down just to convert that. So to me, it's like if I'm doubling your pawns, obviously it's always conditional, but it's like, to me, it's like it's an accomplishment. This is something that I can kind of take advantage of later, because all I really want is just one pawn. I'm not trying to blow anybody out. I'm just trying to get that edge and then convert from there. That's also what I think I need to improve on the most, is converting, because because the sexy part of chess is like achieving the advantage. That's the fun part, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have the advantage, now you got to actually play perfect chess to the end and, like, you know, close it out.
Yeah, that is true. I definitely think like if you have a one pawn advantage and you're a strong player, then the goal should just be to trade everything off so you're up a pawn in an endgame, basically.
Yeah, we are not that good.
No, yeah, exactly. Like more often than not, especially in blitz, I can be up like 4 pawns and still draw, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's very easy to do if you like are in a 10-minute game and by the end game you've got 3 minutes on the clock and like you can't calculate everything in that amount of time, right? Especially at the level that I'm at.
For sure.
But yeah, I think the main things that I've gotten out of these lessons is just like fundamental stuff, you know, like if there's an open file, put your rook on it. If like, you know, try not to isolate your pawns, try to develop all your pieces in the opening before moving anything else. Like try not to move a piece twice in the opening. Try not to put it somewhere where it can instantly get attacked, because then you have to move it again and your opponent gets tempo. Try not to like you know, help your opponent develop through trading, stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like just all that fundamental stuff was like a pretty big thing. And then other than that, I've been going over this book with one of my teachers by Jeremy Silman called Reassess Your Chess. And a lot of the book is just kind of like the goal of the book, I guess, is to get you to be able to look at a position and just very easily be able to tell like who has the advantage. And a lot of it is just like comparing your opponent's pieces to your pieces, right? Like who has the better knight, who has the better bishop, and so on and so forth. And you can kind of tell who that is based on like, you know, how active the piece is. So like in some positions, there'll be like a bishop behind a pawn on one side, and then the other bishop is like super good. And then he's like, yeah, and if you run this position through analysis, you can see like white has a +1 advantage, even though material is equal or whatever.
For sure. I've definitely seen like players on YouTube that when they explain their process, it's like, all right, what is my worst piece? I'm just going to
Mm.
improve that. You know, because a lot of times middle games, especially the way you play, you like to lock down the position, or in our games at least, it's like it's never just open, you know.
Well,
So
that's because, yeah, once you open everything up, it just gets way sketchy, I reckon. It's
yeah,
better, I think, to play
but
like safe
if
and incrementally.
if you, so like the way your book is saying, if you assess the position and you decide I have the advantage, if I have an edge, I feel like opening up the position helps me more than it does you.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So if I ever feel like, oh, I have an advantage now, that's when I'll start going for pawn breaks and stuff like that. Because if I let you improve one or two more pieces, then all of a sudden I don't have the advantage, and that the tension is gonna break. Like there is gonna be a pawn break, and I feel like if you have some kind of edge before that, it's in your favor to do that. That's what I was gonna ask you actually, is do they work with you on like identifying what pawn breaks to go for?
we haven't actually gone through that stuff yet.
That's definitely something that like obviously we're like around the same, you know, in terms of like chess playing or whatever, but especially because you favor positions where it's like closed and locked down, choosing which pawn breaks to go for is like, that's kind of like the next thing that I think like is gonna just take you to the next level.
Yeah, that's a good point. I should ask them about that.
'Cause it's
Uh,
hard. It's
yeah, dude, it's always like a pawn move, hey, that can like make or break a game. I feel like they're like little suicide bombers because they're worth like 1 point, and you can just, I don't know. I've lost so many games to like some random like F4 or some shit, and like I'm like, God damn it,
yeah,
never like think of these pawn moves. Um, so a lot of the reason I like to keep positions closed is because I've noticed opponents always are fine with trading off bishops. or they're fine with trading off bishops for like I'll trade off my bishop for a knight, and everyone always thinks that bishops are better, right? But if you keep the position totally closed and at the end of the game you have 2 bishops and I have 2 knights, then I'm probably better because knights are way better in a closed position because they can jump stuff.
For sure. Well, that's just a mistake on their part. They shouldn't be doing that. But also depending on like where your pawns are, you know, like one bishop is going to be your weak bishop and one bishop is going to be your strong bishop. In every game.
Yeah, do you like, so with our games, I haven't really like noticed a pattern in your openings that much. Do you kind of just develop based on fundamentals?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I like, so John Bartholomew, he never, for the earlier videos at least, he never really got into specific openings and like traps and things like that. So I just felt like, yeah, I'm just focusing on, you know, controlling the center, you know, not making some of those mistakes that you mentioned. And I would watch other players play and they had theory memorized and they're playing all these moves, but who knows if they could even come up with those, you know, on their own. Like to some extent, you can only get so far until you eliminate like blunders from your level of play, you know, and playing theory doesn't really help me hone my ability to like avoid those. So for a long time I was just like, yeah, I'm probably better off. I'll probably learn chess faster just by kind of trying to play, you know, principled, you know, like fundamentals. But recently I've started to get to a point where like, all right, I think I've maxed out how good I can get without having like a real, you know, opening kind of guide, you know. Because especially in like time controlled games, it's like they get such a time lead on you if they just know the top 5 lines.
Yeah, the other thing is I've noticed it's not necessarily knowing the move order of the openings, it's knowing like the main idea for
Yeah.
the opening, like why you're playing, you know, for instance, the opening I'm playing in our game now, the perk, my main goal is to play e5, which I've already played. And then my next main goal is to try and get my knight. I shouldn't be telling you this because I'm playing you, but I mean, you would know this anyway if you knew the opening and you'd be trying
Well,
to stop that anyway.
I mean, we've played like this kind of same game like several times. My main goal is just to get rid of that, bishop, the one that you fianchetto.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually fine to do in this opening. Apparently, it's like because that bishop is just bad anyway. Like it's just fianchettoed there, and
It is. I mean, it is until things open up.
right, yeah, and
That's the thing about bishops is you can I feel like an intermediate player will look at a bishop, like you were saying, and say, "Oh, that's a bad bishop because it's blocked by a pawn." But the next level up from there is saying, "Okay, what pawn break eventually activates my bishop?" You see, you know what I mean?
yeah, 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 totally.
And yeah, but I know you like to go for like the late in the game knight forks. Like it's probably the most annoying thing to deal with on the chessboard is a knight. Like,
Yeah, in end games because you have to calculate so much more.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, my next goals basically with our game is to play knight d7 and then try and play f5 as well, and then basically you end up with this like big pawn structure. And the goal is to sort of use your pieces to support all those pawns and just keep like pushing them up the board, basically. That's yeah. And then the London system is kind of a similar type of thing, except like you just start with that sort of pawn pyramid starting from d4, and then you just again using all of your pieces to try and push up the board.
So does the like in the game that we're playing, how does that strategy change between me castling short or castling long? Because I've castled long twice now against that opening, and I think it's worked.
Yeah, I think it's it kind of
Now I can pawn storm on the king side and just
yeah. So I think at this point, when you play long castles, my goal I think changes to playing b5, and then trying to like yeah develop on the side you castled on. Because yeah, C6 and B5 are like the other idea in the perk, which is basically just playing on the other side of the board.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like I mean, I've played this opening now in like hundreds of games, probably, especially a lot in Blitz, and I still don't fully understand like deeply the idea of it. I think that's like one of the hardest things in the opening. It's not like memorizing the top like 20 moves
Right.
or whatever. It's just like
What's the
really, yeah, really deeply understanding like the objective of why you're playing those moves. Which is why, like for instance, I used to use the Explorer a lot and just look through the Explorer on chess.com. Have you ever used that?
I don't use it on my computer. I only use the app, so I don't have like some of the functionality that I've seen in like other people's videos and stuff. But it
Mm.
looks sick.
Yeah, the Explorer is great. So basically, like it just you can just like click on moves and it can show you like how many games this move has existed in before. Like so, it's it's been played whatever 100,000 times or 20 times, whatever, and then it shows you the percentage of games that were won by white or black, or how many games were drawn from that opening
Right.
or from that move, and then you can like follow it all the way down. And usually in our games, we're like not in the Explorer by like move 6 or something, because one of us will make a move that just doesn't exist, that like no grandmaster has seen fit to play.
Right. Right.
um,
That's actually one of the things that the Gotham chess guy, he's really big on. So like you're learning this one opening, right? Like you said you played hundreds of games. And so you're piecing together bit by bit like what the objective actually is, when your objective maybe changes based on what they play. So every time you play somebody, you are in your comfort zone, and maybe they are, maybe they're not, but you definitely are. Uh,
mhm.
and so the Gotham chess guy was like, he was like, some of these openings are objectively, just better than others, but some of them are really effective just by virtue of the fact that people don't see them like hardly ever. Like when I tried the Dutch a couple times, that was just because he was like, yeah, nobody ever sees this. They don't know what to do against this, and there's a lot of mistakes you can make. I eventually stopped playing it because it's just a shitty opening.
Yeah, it's the worst. I'm actually
But
playing a game against a friend now who played the Dutch for this reason as well.
so bad. It's so bad. But it is kind of it's like a sexy idea. Like, ooh, you can play a worse one, and like,
Hmm.
I don't know, it's cool.
Yeah, it's like when you're playing blitz games or something in 1 minute and you see someone open with like H3 or some shit. You're like,
But sometimes those people are good. Like sometimes I mean, really good players can open with any move, really. And a lot of them know how to transpose from one opening to another.
yeah, right.
Is
Yeah, that's I think the next goal for me is like learning more openings so I can seamlessly move between them depending on what my opponent plays.
right.
Dude, did you see them? Do you watch Agad Mator?
I have no idea what that is.
He's like a YouTuber. He just does game analysis, but he just
Oh,
covers like all the like top games by like the pros. And
mhm.
he covered a game the other day where Hikaru played the Bong Cloud
Yeah,
against like another grandmaster, and he actually won.
that's all.
Have you seen this? Do you use Reddit a lot?
Not really. I,
Okay,
I I know that I would like it if I used it, but I don't really do it a lot.
yeah. There's a really sick subreddit called Anarchy Chess, and it's just like a Reddit full of chess memes basically. And there's a ton of like everyone just like loves the Bong Cloud in
Of
that
course,
chat.
of course.
Yeah, it's just the memeiest opening, and
Yeah.
they all refer to Gary Kasparov as Gary Chess, and they say that he invented chess 35 years ago. It's
I
yeah,
mean, it's not actually a bad, like it can be a good opening, the Bond Cloud. Like I've seen like analysis of it. Like there's like basically one way you can make it decent. But it can be decent.
I mean you instantly give up castling privileges on move 2,
Totally.
which is seems bad,
Yeah.
very unprincipled. Yeah, it's a great Reddit. How long have you been playing, by the way?
Um um a couple years, I guess, like on and off. I started just kind of messing around, like, because I was always in airports and hotels and stuff, and I needed like an app that didn't need the internet, you know.
Mm.
Um, but I didn't get serious into like watching YouTube videos until uh I don't know, a year and a half ago probably.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's super fun. It's awesome. And now it's like everybody's interested because of that show, the Queen's Gambit. Like now
Yeah.
we have a lot of friends who are just starting to get into it, which is really cool.
Yeah, I've noticed that. It's gotten a big upswing in users. I think
Yeah.
chess.com just hit like 50 million users or something like that. This is the crazy, like how many people on the planet do you think play chess? It's got to be like 100 million people at least, right? Probably more.
I have no I have no idea. I don't know how you could even confidently come up with a number.
Let's Google it. How many people on the planet play chess? 605 million. How'd they think it's that many? Okay, whatever.
It's bigger than we think, because it's like it's not that big in the States compared to a lot of other countries.
Yeah, and then also like there's probably a shitload of people who play it who just like, know the rules, but like at what point do you consider them a chess player as well, you know?
And India is massive.
Yeah, it's huge there. It's huge in Russia.
Yeah. But I mean, like, population wise, India is just there's so many people. The fact that it's popular there, like,
Mm.
I bet you half of all chess players are in India right now.
Yeah, it's quite possible. There's a grandmaster from there called Pragu something or other who's like 12 in India. It's crazy. They and in Russia they teach chess at school. Like it's just one of the classes you do there, which is
That's
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. But anyway, so my point is that out of 605 million players, there's only 1,600 grandmasters. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that
It's like,
is. How many kids do you think are trying to make bass music?
oh man, I would say more than 605 million, maybe.
What? Really?
Maybe not bass music, but like producing electronic music,
Sure.
maybe. Like I don't know how many electronic
See what I'm
music.
getting at, though, right? Like, we are some of like the very fortunate few that get to make a living off of music. Um, the grandmasters of EDM, if you will.
Yeah. Someone said, how many electronic music artists are there in the world on Quora? Um, and somebody says billions. Wait, there's no way. I don't
I,
know. Yeah.
I think it's more than, what was it, 600? That's a lot, dude. What?
How many
I know.
Ableton? I mean, you could probably work this out by like how many Ableton users there are. All right, there's several 100,000 Ableton users. Wait, but there's a video about Ableton that states they've sold over 1 million copies of Ableton Live. So, assuming everyone's only bought it one time, um, then at least
A lot of them have never bought it, also.
yeah, that's a good point. So, and then a lot of them who did buy it maybe don't make electronic music with it. Like they might like run theater performances with it or something like that.
True. We're getting closer.
Yeah. And then you have to count that's just Ableton and like how many Logic users are there. And this is even harder to tell, right? Because Logic, I think, just comes with
Yeah.
yeah. So
Great.
and then you got to count GarageBand as well and like Main Stage and all that shit that just comes on an Apple. So
Count it.
yeah, that'd be a lot. But yeah, the amount. Yeah, how many people do you think make a living off bass music?
Um, I don't know. That seems hard too.
Speaking of which, how this might be like a too personal question for a podcast, but how have you made your living like through quarantine?
Um, I had what, 3 months of shows, or not 3 months, but like, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months, whenever that everything cut off. So, um, that was like a good. To be honest, like that was enough to last me the year. But then of course, you have like, sample pack income and people streaming on Spotify and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, I didn't really, I didn't really have to do much more than that, honestly. But I'm also like, I've never spent any of my money ever. You know what I mean? So I wasn't one of these guys like trying to drive a crazy car, paying LA rent, like trying to reaffirm that lifestyle to, fans or whatever. Like I'm just always low key, always save my money. So, um, I just kind of didn't have to stress too much.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm sort of the same. I'm never like trying to, I mean, I also don't make like tons of money, but like I definitely am not like trying to buy a Tesla and like all
Yeah.
that kind of shit.
But
Just
you seem like one of the artists that is well suited to to kind of grinding this year, right? Because I imagine you're like the allocation of your revenue streams is a lot more balanced than most of us. Like where for me, it's like so much of it is live, you know.
yeah, I would say like my live revenue um is like not that much. It's like less than 50 grand a year for sure. And my website like makes a lot more than that just from like tutorials and all that kind of stuff.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so and then like Spotify actually has been doing okay. Oh, I guess it's like just streaming services in general. I mean, I just have like a bunch of random singles and albums and shit that I didn't sign to labels back in the day, uploaded through DistroKid or whatever, and like that still turns over about $500 in streams a month, which is pretty cool.
That's what I like. I mean, obviously people complain about Spotify and stuff a lot because it's like it is a shitty deal. But I'm also one of the artists that's been doing this like a long time. I don't know actually how long you've been doing it, but I know we've both been at it for a while.
Like a yeah, about a decade or so.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that like we have this back catalog of stuff that's pretty much all independent and independently released, it adds up, you know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think the first thing I heard from you was maybe in like 2012 or something. It was that knife party thing you did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like
It was
a
like that was like for like a year I just did like a like trap remix every like Monday something and like
Mm,
those were the times. But even before that, like I released on I was like the first or second release on Saturate Records you might be familiar with.
hmm.
Um and I was doing like kind of like experimental down tempo stuff back then, like like Flying Lotus kind of vibe. Um, so yeah, I just been doing it a while.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's sick. What kind of like shows were you doing before quarantine hit? Was it mostly headline shows or was it support or?
Yeah, it was headline shows, but it wasn't like on like a tour where I was bringing out like production and stuff. It was all fly out,
Mm,
dates. Um, but yeah, I had a bunch. I actually like I barely made it back into the country because I had some shows in Europe as like I finished them like right as they were kind of closing the border. So I like barely made it back.
oh wow! So like there was a chance you would have like if you had a two more days or something, you would have got stuck.
Yeah, I'm not really yeah, I don't know how I would have had to navigate that. I'm sure there was some kind of protocol or I hope there was, but um yeah, so I was literally playing until the very last second.
Damn,
Um,
it's insane. And were you doing shows basically like every day, or was it just every weekend?
I actually the past year and a half I've done like just weekend stuff. And unless I'm like, overseas, like in Europe or Australia or something where it's like expensive to get all the way out there, then you're just
Mm,
playing as much as you can. But as I've gotten kind of just older and wanted to find a little more balance in my lifestyle, um, just kind of decided like Thursday, Friday, Saturday of every week is kind of just gives my body like more of a schedule, you know.
Mm. Yeah, one thing I've noticed is like I haven't got a lot of music finished this year, but I've started tons of shit.
Same.
And I've noticed that having like the weekends for shows, because I was doing the same thing, but I was essentially just doing Fridays and Saturdays. And I was just finding that it was a lot like having that sort of, it was almost like a deadline, right? Like a work
Yeah,
deadline where I had to get some shit finished to play.
for sure.
So even if it wasn't like a finished piece of music, it was a playable piece of music. Um, and I found losing that kind of like just removed all deadlines from my life. And now I'm just like, ah, shit is like, you know, no rush to get anything done. So I just don't get anything done. I mean, I get like a lot written, but I don't get a lot finished.
Yeah. I actually like you would think that after all this time I would have like a handle on like what my creative process is. Um but I actually didn't, and I learned a lot this year. Just that I made so much shit and finished like so little of it. But it like it gave me deja vu of like finishing my last EPs and like earlier albums and stuff. And I kind of realized it kind of always goes this way. Like I start a bunch of stuff, and then out of like, you know, 30 tracks, there might be 12 where I'm like, these kind of feel like a family. Like
Mm.
there's a cohesion between this body of work. Maybe not all of it, but these really sit well together. And I kind of will end up wrapping all those up at the same time.
Yeah, I
So,
kind of have a similar process. I get to it like I start tons of shit. I'll have like 100 whips, and then I have to put myself in what I call whip prison, where I just like won't allow myself to start new shit until I like finish some of it. And
for
then
sure.
I'll go into this mode where I'm like not necessarily enjoying working on the stuff that I'm finishing so much, but just like having to, because I know if I don't like force myself to, I just won't.
Right.
But
Also, I
yeah,
feel like finishing songs, uh, like like all around the same time, it kind of ensures that your like mixing and mastering ability and everything is like it's going to be consistent over the course of the whole project. Whereas like if you do them all like in chronological order, the first song and the last song could be, you know, a year apart, and you may have gotten a lot better at something since then.
yeah, or like a new tool might have come out, like
Yeah,
Soothe or something like that.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Uh, do you feel like I had a question, I forgot it. Never mind. My memory is dog shit.
Yeah, do you feel like this this kind of break in 2020 has that affected your like the command of your like focus, like your attention span, your
Oh, for sure. I think if anything, my attention span has gotten better,
Oh, that's great.
but like it's gotten better in a sense that I've like just paid more attention to it, you know, like for instance, before this break, like I was drinking a lot, just because I was like always touring and all that shit. I was like, and essentially I was like drinking every day. So my attention for that reason was like horrible. But then, you know, on top of that, like I never read books, partly because my attention was shitty and partly because I just didn't have time, partly because I was like lazy and just didn't want to read books. So like, you know, reading books is something that I've gotten into. um, just doing a lot of like cooking and all that sort of shit, just doing stuff that I like normally wouldn't do. Uh,
Like slower
yeah,
activity.
exactly. Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I've become like more patient or something, maybe.
That's good. That's great. I read something recently that was like basically a lot of times we think we are like multitasking by like doing our phone and then cooking and like checking our Twitter and like doing all these things, you know, and like doing your laundry at the same time. Like we think we're killing it by multitasking, but what we're really doing is like reinforcing this like lack of focus, you
Oh,
know?
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to like I just listened to this audiobook over the past few days called Deep Work by Cal Newport, and he just talks about this shit exactly. He's like yeah, you should just, dedicate a few hours a day to deep work where you're just like, I'm not going to do anything else except this one task. And like whether you have to do that via Pomodoro timers or whatever. And then he like offers a bunch of strategies to maybe help. I remember my question, by the way. My question was, do you think if this pandemic hadn't happened that you would have ever taken this long of a break from shows?
No. I mean, that would be like retirement.
Yeah, I mean, I never would have either, right? But I mean, people do. Like, for instance, Tipper did it like for about
Sure.
a year. I mean, he had a heart surgery and stuff,
Yeah.
um, but he,
There are very few artists that have the reverence to get away with something like that. You
mm.
know what I mean? Like RL Grime can drop like once a year or whatever, but for most guys in dance music, they gotta drop something every 3 weeks just to keep people, paying attention.
In some way, this is like what we were just talking about, right? It's like you're saying, by doing all of this stuff, like your laundry and cooking and all this crap, you're like just enforcing like a low attention span. It's almost like the same way with your release plan, right? Like maybe because RL Grime drops once a year, that's why his fans are kind of
Totally.
like conditioned to this. Whereas like if you're dropping every 3 weeks, maybe that's why your fans are conditioned that way to expect that.
Definitely true. But it's a risk, You're putting all your eggs in that basket. And to some extent, it's like doing a single every 3 weeks is like it's a quick way to the middle. It's like a lower risk route. But I think most artists want that kind of hype where they can just release once a year and it's like a huge deal, to their people.
Yeah. So through quarantine, have you been releasing pretty steadily still?
No, not at all. In a lot of ways, even before quarantine even hit, I was feeling a disconnect between just myself and music, you know? Um, it's hard to keep your relationship with music, fresh, when you've been, doing this for so long and it's become your job and all these things. Um, and I could kind of feel it like just feeling like kind of estranged, to it. Just like the dubstep around me was getting like meaner and angrier and everything was like Halloween kind of vibes. And I'm like, I don't know if I like, belong here anymore. So even before 2020, I was kind of feeling like, all right, I need to get back to being like a fan of music. I gotta find a new wave for myself that like gets me excited, about this. Somewhere where I feel like, is like just more of a home. Um, so even before 2020, I was already feeling like, all right, I need to take some time off and creatively like figure out a perspective. And it actually, you could say 2020 was like great timing for me. It was just very convenient to have all this time off, especially to come up with a creative perspective while you have to play shows every weekend is much more difficult because then it's like every Thursday or whatever, you got to put together a set to appease a crowd and kind of like, to some extent conform to what you think is going to work here or there or whatever. So this was a nice break from even playing where I could just get in the studio, lab out, like I said, like, 16-hour days or whatever, just get lost in here and figure out something that I think is cool and new and fresh where I can be excited about it again.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I was sort of feeling the same way with my music. Like I was making a lot of shit just because I knew it would work, like
Sure.
live.
Yeah,
No, I wasn't necessarily writing stuff because not that I think like making stuff that you think is just gonna work at a party is the wrong reason to make music. I mean, parties need to happen. They're very healthy for everyone to be social in that way, I think. And like
totally.
it's yeah, I mean it's good to have that kind of thing. But I think there's also like a part of you as an artist, right, that like that craves this like other thing, which is making something slightly deeper than just music that's designed to work a dance floor, and
Sure.
that's more designed for, I don't know, like sitting at home and listening to, because it's like somewhat intelligent or interesting sound design wise or rhythmically or melodically or anything.
Yeah. and what we want out of our own music changes over time. Like there's been periods in my life where I was making stuff, you know, that just was just supposed to work, and but that's like what got me off. That's what I loved, you know, producing at that time. Um, so we just, you know, we all evolve, and I feel like as long as you're not fighting whatever that evolution is, you're gonna continue to come up with your best music, you know. So um,
It's hard to have the confidence to do that though, like when you know you have to like play a set and there's going to be like someone playing before you that's playing super heavy mean shit, someone playing after you sometimes who at a festival who's playing super heavy mean shit. It's hard to have the confidence in yourself to be like, no, I'm just going to write like the vibiest shit I can, and
yeah,
you know, expect people to get down with this, because like there's a big part of your brain just being like, it's not going to work, like that shit just does not work. Like you've maybe
right,
played shows before where you've tried stuff out like that and it didn't work, and so on and so forth, and it's really hard
yeah.
to do that. But yeah.
This year, because of the absence of shows and the absence of that pressure, we've seen people come out with, you know, a wider range of music than I think we would have otherwise. Even though I still think it's like way too narrow. Um, it will be interesting to see though when shows come back, who has the balls to like stay on that wave. Like, are we all? Is everyone just gonna like, you know, conform, revert back to this like race to the bottom of just the hardest, least tonal shit? You know what I mean? A lot of people, I'm sure, will. Um, but I think like in some sense, 2020, like this break was like a great opportunity for a lot of people to say, you know what, maybe I was out of control for a little bit there. Maybe I lost sight of what I really want to do and what I want to sound like, because obviously a lot of people were starting to sound the same and still do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But um you know, I'll speak for myself. Like I hope that I can have the balls to be like, fuck it, I'm getting a second chance at this. Like I'm gonna make sure that people are walking away from a set being like, that was different, that was uniquely hero bust.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like everyone will get back together in the like real world and they're gonna be like, are you tough? I'm tough. Listen to
Yeah,
this. Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
like
we've for us, people who've been doing this for as long as we have, like we've seen this happen, right? Like we've seen dubstep fall off before because it became that pissing match, and
mm,
like there was nowhere for the genre to go. You know
right.
what
The
I
same
mean?
thing I think happened with trap as well, right? Like
Well, trap to me, trap to me had a different fate because it almost got like it got too complicated. Like all the hybrid stuff, like even though you could say I kind of contributed to like that, but the hybrid stuff, a lot of it is producer music. You know what I mean?
mm.
It's made to impress other producers, and it's really not. It wasn't effective dance music the way it was, with the way the early trap was. Even though at from a producer standpoint, that was now underwhelming. It was still better functionally as dance music.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I never really got the trap thing, but at the time I was living in Australia, and I think that was like probably a hugely different experience to living in Georgia,
Oh
um,
yeah, totally.
where trap is like probably a pretty big thing because it's
But eventually trap took over Australia and New Zealand, and like what they like, I probably still, or maybe they're onto rhythm now, but um I always felt like they were maybe like a season behind or whatever. Like the first time I went there and played like hybrid trap, they were used to like regular regular trap or whatever, and it was kind of different to them. And then the next time I came back, it was like I played some rhythm and they were expecting the hybrid trap, you know, and like some of the rhythm in some of the cities was like too much. Obviously Perth is just like has been rhythm for forever. um
Has it actually?
yeah, as long as I can remember, man.
Huh.
Like Perth is probably the first place I ever heard rhythm.
Interesting. Like from who?
I have no idea.
Huh. crazy. Yeah, I didn't ever think of Perth as being a rhythm place.
To me, maybe it's just the shows that I've been on, but yeah, like that's one of the places I played where I know, like, all right, this is what you play, and you don't play anything else. Like, you just don't do it.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, when I think of Perth, I think of like bands, you know, like Carnival and
Oh yeah,
Pendulum and stuff like that.
for sure.
Yeah, Perth has a lot of sick music coming out of it though. Like Zeke, I guess, came out of there too.
See,
Um,
I think it's Chibs from Perth. I
uh, Not sure who that is.
I guess up and coming rhythm guy, I guess.
Nice. What do you think of rhythm? Is that like a genre you're into? Or?
I think well, I think all genres are awesome, but I think rhythm is really sick. I'm way more into, like, I guess what would be like purist, rhythm, like the early more minimal stuff where, like, yeah, like the sound design is kind of underwhelming, but it's all about that unique pocket that's
Hmm.
created by the swing. Like, to
Like
me, that's,
Juro the Digger or whatever.
yeah, sure. Like all that minimal stuff where it's just like, if that pocket is just like, it's unique, and just like every other genre's fate in EDM, it was going to get more and more maximal, more and more maximal, and the rhythm now is much less of a facet of the genre, to me at least, or a lot of what I'm hearing. So it's kind of getting away from what I liked in it uh, in the beginning.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I remember the first like Blood Thinners rhythm mix I heard, and I was like, oh, I get this. Like, this is cool, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, the thing I like about rhythm, at least the stuff that I've heard, is just uh, what I think is funny is they're like, I'm gonna squeeze like every single bit of volume I can out of this limiter and
Oh
just
yeah,
get this to like -2 lofts, and then the DJs just come along and they're like, yeah, fucking play two at once, and then
that
it's just like,
that is probably my least, and people won't like hearing shit like this, but that's probably my least favorite part of the whole rhythm thing, is like the obsession with like doubling everything, and like these track like the early stuff was made to be minimal, where two tracks at the same time can actually sound good, but now it's gotten so maximal. Like, since Fizo made Jotaro, like, I don't know, like, if you've read or whatever, but that drop was like two whips that he just threw on top of each other.
oh wow.
So that was like the first drop that was like designed to sound like a double, you
Hmm.
know and so now everyone's making that and doubling those,
Right, so it's
and
more
like,
like a quad or whatever.
yeah, sonically there's just not space, and um so I'm not really into that kind of DJing, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, I just thought all rhythm sounded the same, but I felt that way about like trap for a long time too. I also felt I feel that way about lots of genres. It's like when you're standing from the outside looking at it, it's always like, ah, this is just all like country music, for instance, just all sounds the same to me.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, the more I looked into rhythm, the more I was like pretty impressed with the sound design in it and stuff like that. There's a lot of
Yeah,
cool stuff going on in there, like all the crazy tonal delays and like comb filters and stuff like that.
exactly. Yeah, it's cool. I think, like, to speak to what you're saying about it, like it all sounding the same, like, you can apply that to any genre, like, until you really know about it. But I think across the board in EDM, our genres are so narrow. Like, people will copy like one song and then just call that a genre now. And it's
Hmm.
like if you listen to like rock and roll, you hear like 12 different bands that sound like so wildly different, but it's still all rock and roll, versus like the difference between like dubstep and rhythm is like, it's like just the snare at this point. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that the distinction? If that's the distinction between genres, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like people should feel like they can do more, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But like I said earlier, I think it comes down to just having the confidence as an artist to do that, right? Like, um, for instance, the reason like we all want to fit in with each other, right? Nobody wants to be, like I was saying before, no one wants to feel wrong, or no one wants to feel like an outsider. Like everyone wants to feel like they're a part of the tribe and stuff like that. And it's almost like
Yeah.
if you don't do this thing that everyone else is doing, which is like the surefire way of, um, being recognized as, part of that tribe or whatever, then it's, you're going to feel a little strange. And it's hard to have the confidence, I think, to be doing something completely unique. There's some artists that do it, like for instance, I was saying earlier, Tipper, he obviously has the confidence to just do his own thing and like doesn't give a shit, and it's worked out really well for him. But I think a lot of artists think if they do the same thing, it would never work out well for them. And yeah.
Well, it's not like not all times are created equal, in my opinion. Like back when Tipper took his stand and and committed to his sound, I think there was a lot more diversity in sound, you know?
Was there
Uh,
though? I mean, because there was
oh yeah.
objectively less music that existed then.
Yeah, well, yeah, but like those tribes that you're talking about, like at this point, those are carved in stone. Like you can write down the formula like to the T right now of what you're talking about. Back then, it was like you'd go to like a show, and it's like some kids playing on like a MIDI MPD, some kids playing on like like a launch pad with Ableton. Another kid is like DJing like I don't know. To me, like it was kind of the Wild West more so than it is now. Like the first time I toured in China, um, they hadn't had like obviously they have all everything that we have, all sorts of different kinds of music, but bass music was like pretty new to a lot of people there, and the guys and girls that were opening for me, they were just wildly different, and they were playing shit where like me coming from America, I'm like, wow, like I'm assuming like the balls on this person to go out here and play something this like 5 minute breakdown ambient whatever, and like maybe they know what like the rules are and they do have the balls, but maybe it's just the Wild West out there and they don't know. The next year when I played China, they weren't it wasn't like that. They had picked it up and they were more familiar with the culture, and what they were playing was limited to a much finer path. um but for me it was so cool to see that while it lasted. Before people knew the rules, you saw a lot more creative decisions being made.
Yeah, I feel like China is like, they obviously have the great firewall of China where like, they can't connect to anything outside or whatever. So it's I've never played there or been there, but I've heard from friends that have, that it's like promoters will bring people over from America or from other countries, and they'll sort of like market them as if they're this huge American act, and like nobody can prove them wrong because they can't connect to the internet and check.
It's I mean, it's not quite like that. I think it was like that at a certain point. People there, like, they know about VPNs,
Mm.
especially like the wealthier, the people from wealthier families and stuff. Like they know what's hot. Like the first time I was there, I don't think they really knew that much, but by now they totally do.
My cat just like freaked out for some reason. It's pretty weird. She just like ran down there and then ran over there. Cats, they get the zoomies.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have a cat?
I have a dog actually.
Does your dog get the zoomies?
Oh yeah, usually around like 9 o'clock, 8:45. It's like give me time.
Like he's just asking for a walk.
I don't know. I want to say it's like on some level she knows like bedtime is coming. Like I'm running out of time to like get rid of this energy. Like she knows she won't be able to sleep unless she kind of tires herself out or something.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. What are we talking about? Like rules and production and stuff.
Have you like the music that you've made this past year, has that shifted, and do you think like the time off in 2020 like was a big part of that, I guess?
So what I noticed is like the first like half of 2020, like just when lockdown started and for about 6 months after, I was writing like no bangers at all. It was just all IDM, all like down tempo, weird, glitchy music and ambient shit and like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know, I just had this feeling of like live music's never coming back. So like what's the point in making bangers, right?
Right.
Um and then I guess like slowly over the past 6 months, I've been like getting back into making heavier stuff again. And now I am at the point where I have like sort of two albums sitting there just waiting to be finished. One is like all down tempo, glitchy IDM stuff, and the other one is like all EDM sounding stuff with like vocals on it and shit like that. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's almost as live music is like encroaching and the reality is like dawning on me that I'm probably gonna have to like release some bangers and play them at some point, that I'm like slowly getting into making them again.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I would say my transition was like the opposite. It was like in the first part, I was just like trying to hold on and just like still continuing to make like bangers. And then the second part of the year, I was like, you know what, like that's just not, the context does not call for bangers right now.
Mm.
So I started making like much, chiller, more complicated stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I'd love to hear some of it. Um,
Sure. I can send as soon as I, finish it.
yeah, you don't send whips. Are you a non-whip sender?
Uh, I prefer not to, because like when I get someone's opinion on something, you only get one opportunity at like someone's first time hearing it. You know what I mean?
Mm, it's a good point. Yeah.
Because once they've heard the whip, it's like you can't get feedback on the final if you've let them hear the whip. Like
Wait, why?
because you already have an idea of what the song, how you thought the song was going to finish, or where the idea came from.
Mm.
um
Yeah, that's a good point.
it's not, your perspective is not as fresh as someone who's just hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I feel like as a producer, I'm pretty good at like being able to see things, not in the same way that maybe a lot of people do. I'm the worst at sending whips, man. I send them so often to so many people, but it's mostly just because even though I have like barefoots and like Audi's headphones and like all like fucking every plugin under the sun, I still just don't trust my opinion on mixdowns, and I'm
For sure.
always like trying to send it to a bunch of people to be like, hey, does this sound good? Like even if I'm referencing against stuff and I like they sound pretty similar to me and all that stuff, I'm just I
Who,
have like my group of
who
friends.
who gives you the best like mixing feedback?
I mean, it's hard, like it's different for different genres, right? But
Sure.
like I have like this sort of group of people that I like to send shit to whose opinions that I trust. If I'm trying to get like super loud dubstep stuff going, then like Ulasile generally gives me pretty good opinions.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, like I find his stuff to be like maybe too loud and aggressive sometimes. So
No such thing.
what's that?
No such thing for that kind of
Oh
music.
right. Oh yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah. No, it's the style for sure. Dude, do you know a producer named Ellie Derp?
Say that again.
Ellie Derp. It's spelled Eliderp.
Uh-uh.
So I've been getting good opinions from him lately. He's like this 18-year-old producer who's just insane. He's so
Awesome.
good. And yeah, I've been super into his stuff lately. Been writing a few tunes with him, and yeah, I just like really think he's got a good opinion on a lot of stuff.
So
Um, do you know Noir? Knoir.
nope.
He's like again like another 18-year-old, 17-year-old producer. These people are just like so young
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
just insanely good at music these days. It's crazy. I wonder if like I'd grown up in the same sort of time where stuff was that Ableton was just given to me as a 6-year-old or something. If I'd somehow be that good at production at 18 as well.
Yeah. Well, I think, because I think about that sometimes too, and I think I would not have ended up making EDM had I gotten into production now, because like the music that I was into when I started producing, it was like it was not cool. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like it was like nerdy as shit. It was like, like Aphex Twin, Square Pusher, like all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure I would have looked at what is EDM now, and I would have been like, oh, that's like some mainstream, you know, lame, whatever. Um, yeah, I just don't think I would have ended up here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I imagine you were listening to like similar stuff.
Yeah, I got into electronic music through psytrance actually, and then
Oh, okay.
from psytrance I went to like Aphex and Square Pusher and stuff like that. And then from that, yeah, slowly I went through like a massive breakcore phase as well, where I was just listening to tons of breakcore. And then I went through like, I mean, I was super into metal alongside all of that. And then I guess I like slowly shifted more over towards like heavier beat driven stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, metal's like one of the pieces to like the current like mosaic of influences of like most of, our like industry that I don't have in common. I never got into metal. Like for
Yeah,
me
you
it
can
was
even. Oh, sorry, go on.
yeah, for me it was always like hip hop and then electronica, you know.
Yeah,
Uh
that makes sense, I guess, coming from Atlanta. But you notice this a lot, like even in the logos of rhythm artists, right? It's like always that Metallica style logo with like all the horns and shit on it, and like.
sure, for sure. I mean now it's like just standard. Like if you're a dubstep, there are plenty of dubstep acts that have that aesthetic now that may or may not even have an affinity for metal. It's like it's just kind of the state of dubstep now.
Yeah, it's just like after sudden death, that was just the thing to do or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, why did sudden death get so big? I mean, I think his music's cool and stuff, but like, I don't necessarily, and not to like put shit on him or anything, but I don't necessarily think it's like, that much cooler or whatever than most rhythm out there. I think it's like all the stuff is equally cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, you like already admitted you're not like that big into rhythm. So it's
Mm.
likely there's like a lot of stuff that that you that other people really enjoy about it that you're just not into rhythm that much, in the first place.
Yeah,
Uh,
just like missing the nuances of it and stuff.
I guess, I mean, it's hard to say what I think makes him special, but I know like when you drop his songs, even before people knew who he was and he had all the hype around him, like his tracks would go off,
I actually heard that from Virtual Riot. He said,
they just do.
yeah, Virtual Riot was saying that when he was at a festival, he noticed that it was something about his mix downs, like they were just so much like grittier and harsher and stuff than a lot of other producers. And when you would play one, it would just kind of like stand out among the rest because it was so tonally different.
It totally does. And it looks like one of those mix downs where like it's like anything you meter it with, it's like this can't be good, like this can't be right. But it time and time again it proves me wrong. Like that Behemoth song, I even asked him, I don't remember what his like explanation was, but that Behemoth song, like the one that's like but and everybody sings that part, that drop is almost entirely mono.
Hmm.
And like I would never do that. I
Yeah,
would
you
never do that.
reference it against something else and just be like, fuck, I gotta make it like stereo.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would muscle that shit up as much as I could. And I thought I had the wrong file. I was like, oh shit, I'm glad I didn't play this out. Or whatever. And but no, it turned out that's how he made the song. And I think because there is kind of like a metal kind of punk aesthetic that has permeated rhythm, that kind of unapologetic approach to creating um translates really well, which is why I think like his mix, no one would say his mix downs are perfect, but there's something about the way he just unapologetically just does it his way, that is pleasing, with the current aesthetic of dubstep. He's
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've never really thought about it that way. I really like his Void stuff. That was really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, this yeah, I should also mention, like, I've actually played one of his tunes out, so it's not like I don't like it or anything like that.
For sure.
Yeah, it's just like I don't, I guess, understand why it's like that much more revered than other stuff. Like, I mean, all the style, right? Like, I listen to him and Sudden Death, and I think they're pretty damn close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the tune that I played out, it was actually like this meme thing from SoundCloud where somebody took like a shit ton of build-ups
Oh, okay. Yeah.
from like all of these different dubstep tunes, and they just like put them all together, so it's like this 2 minute like never ending dubstep build up. And
Yeah.
then at the end of it I like stapled on fuck, it's like some Sudden Death tune. It's the one where it's like, let's get back to the basics, and then like has the psytrance bit and all that stuff. uh so yeah, I played that out for like a few sets, and it was just, I mainly played it out just to piss people off because it was like 2 minute build up. Just,
Yeah.
I find this is something I got from Yeti, is playing sets. I find it's the way he put it is, he was like, I like to paint with different colors, you know, like very vastly different colors, like putting orange next to blue or something like that. So he'll, and I like the sets that I've seen by him, I just don't get bored of them because they're just, every song is so different, you know, like he'll play some weird chip tune thing, and then he'll play like a rhythm song, and then he'll play like a breakcore tune, and then he'll play like one of his own songs, and like he'll just play like the most vastly different shit, and he somehow makes it work with the mixing because he's just like a good DJ. And I find that like I took a lot of influence from the few times that I've seen him play, and now I just try and do similar shit where like every now and then I'll just do something like that, like play this like incredibly long build up, and then just so there's like sections of the set that are like really really memorable musically because they're
So
just so different from other stuff that's happening at the time.
for sure.
And like, you know, opening play, just like dropping audio memes in the middle of sets, like a random
Yeah.
shit.
That's kind of how I have come to think of sets, is um like the drops is where everybody goes crazy, but the like the breakdowns and like the lapses in energy, that's where the identity, for me at least, that's where like those are the opportunities to kind of inject more identity into the sets, so I try to pick those to be stuff that like um is memorable and like creates a moment.
Hmm. Yeah, it's always hard to say what's going to do that though, but it's usually like not the standard like tunes, right, that you want to put in there just to like keep the energy going or whatever. It's usually some weird shit
I
that's
I mean, I agree with you. Like, it's hard to know, but at the same time, it's like literally anything else. Literally
yeah.
anything but like super hard fucking bass to the face type shit. Anything else will be jarringly different and like unexpected and memorable if you mix it in with a bunch of, in your face EDM. Um, so yeah, I just it couldn't be easier to like get a point across. I feel like, and actually like I realized like way late in my career that I wasn't even trying to achieve that. Like I was watching, like at this point most of my shows had become like dubstep shows, and Riot 10 had that song like all my fucking head bangers break your fucking neck, and everyone was at least playing the vocal, and no matter who was playing, like that was a moment, for the crowd where they could all like take a break and like sing that shit and then go in for the next drop. But that was a moment that he owned. And I was like, at this point, like I've had songs that, go off and like people know are like hero bus songs, but I didn't feel like I had like a moment of my own. And it wasn't because I was like constantly trying and just not achieving it. I just had never had that as a goal. Like I set out to write something that like created my moment, and then I wrote what the fuck like in 2 seconds, just because that being the objective. Um, I don't know. I just always thought that was interesting that it never occurred to me to like try to do that,
Hmm.
but it serves you really well to have one of those.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. Yeah, I've never really tried to do that either.
Do it.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like your top advice. Get a moment.
Yeah, I mean, if you can have one that's your own, like it's just so useful, you know. Especially when a bunch of other people are playing it. Um,
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, there's a few of those, right? Like the Jitaro is kind of like that too. That pre-drop vocal, which I'm still unsure of what it says.
I have no idea.
It's
Nope.
just like a thing that goes like la di da di,
Yeah,
some crap.
yeah.
But you just hear it like every set, even if somebody's just taking it and pasting it into some crap that they put in there.
That's what I'm afraid of, is that we get on the other side of this pandemic and
It's just like,
shows are back and people are still using the same Kendrick Lamar Mad City pre-drop. You know what I mean? Like I hope that people take advantage of this opportunity to like, try to figure out like what they want to do and what they want to say. And
I'd
uh
be so impressed, man, if like we got to the other side of this and
I know.
it's just where it left off, just continue. People have like just learned nothing. They're just like, oh, it's back to business.
Well, I think like I recently like I said before, I was like trying to like really kind of repair my relationship with music and making music in general. And one of the things that really helped me was finding uh like people on SoundCloud that are clearly just having fun with this shit. Like their mix downs aren't perfect, their vocal processing isn't perfect, they don't care. It's just a vibe, and they're having fun with like one of their friends just collabing or whatever. And so I started listening to a lot of these artists under like Six Impala. Maybe you've heard some of their stuff, but um, shit, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so like there's this whole generation of like younger producers that did not go into EDM, and they're more into like hyper pop kind of shit, like 100 gex, that kind of lane.
Hmm.
And they're creatively, in the amount of time in the same amount of time, they have traversed so much ground, where they've incorporated post pop punk. They've incorporated like all the like the Cashmere Cat, like old school kind of rusty high vocal kind of vibes. Like they've that their lane of music has gotten so crazy and has traversed so much ground. And in bass music, in that same amount of time, people are still stuck on the holding one note for the whole drop kind of like formula. And it's like there's been a whole year to like traverse space creatively to come up with new ideas and riff off of each other or whatever. And I see these young producers, like these young kids, like they're, like I said, their mixdowns won't be perfect or whatever, but like they are just firing off new ideas like crazy, and it's just so fun to listen to. um I wish EDM could get some of that, you know
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think what happens, right, is like if somebody's having tons of fun making the music that they're making, it almost like comes through in the music. Like you can just hear the fun in it, right?
yeah.
And I think the opposite is also true. Like if somebody is working to death an EDM drop that they're just like fucking, like you said before, just sitting there muscling out like every bit of stereo image they can and just like putting like overworking it really. Um
fear
that
Fear and love. You hear people talk about like every decision is like behind every decision is either fear or love. Like you can hear it when it's love, and you can hear when it's fear too. Like I feel like a lot of that like vanilla kind of generic sounding stuff, it's like there's a vulnerability that comes with putting out something that's personal and like uniquely your perspective. And if you're afraid of that vulnerability, then I I think you can hear it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, man. Some good points for sure. Yeah, you have a cool way of looking at music. I think it's like a little more romantic than the way I look at it. I look at the whole production process as like more of a technical thing, I guess.
For sure.
But yeah, I like the that kind of
I
opinion
get
as well.
what for me, I'm like, I assume most people are like this, but maybe it's not the case, because I know you're like definitely like a technician. But um do you very carefully like compartmentalize like creative versus technical? Or do
Yeah,
you go back and forth like it's nothing, or do you keep them separated like it's two different parts of your brains that shouldn't be slowing each other down?
I try to compartmentalize it if I can. I mean, it's like that old saying, or maybe it's not an old saying. It's like I was in that Dennis DeSantis book, write drunk, edit sober, or whatever.
Okay, yeah, right.
Um, and I've added a third bit onto that. It's write drunk, edit sober, mix on mushrooms.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's a good one I picked up off a friend. Because as soon as you're on mushrooms, like even if it's a light dose, it's just very obvious like what's sort of like stabbing you in the face, and you're like, oh, that's fucked. Like I gotta get rid of
Yeah,
that. And
that makes perfect sense actually. I'm definitely gonna try that.
yeah, yeah. So like in that way, I try to sort of, not that I actually gave up drinking this year, but like, oh, last year, but I guess like what I take from that is the writing component should just be this like flowy, like try not to stop too much, like try and just get it out, like I try to like just keep moving forward in the writing process. Like I try not to be like, oh, this sound isn't quite right, or this snare is not the right snare, or whatever. Like I just try and like keep moving forward without getting stuck on shit too much. And the point of my writing sessions is to just get as much, like I try to go for quantity, right? Like just as much shit as I can, like as many ideas as possible, like the shotgun approach sort of. And
Yeah,
something's bound to hit at some point. And then when I go into the technical mindset of like, come back to that tune and whatever, a month later maybe, or a week later or whatever it is, and be like, all right, I gotta like finish this or fix it up, then I'll start going like, all right, this is a bunch of bullshit that sucks, and like I have to delete all this, and like now I'll spend like an hour making a snare and 20
right.
minutes making another kick drum or something like that. And
Okay. So you do compartmentalize pretty good.
I do, yeah. But when I go into that technical state, I think I often will. I have an easier time being in the creative state and not going technical, but I have a hard time being in the technical state and not going creative.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like when I'm sitting there making like a sound or whatever, it's
Like
hard for me to. Sorry, say that again.
like you would second guess your melody or something like.
No, but like I guess what usually happens is if I'm like, oh, I got to make a new snare, right? Like I'll start making it and then I'll like accidentally tweak one knob wrong and it'll make like another sound and I'll be like, oh wait, like that would be sick, and like then I'll start doing some other shit.
For sure. I could see that.
Yeah, so my technical sessions very often devolve into like some just experimental sound design or something.
Hmm.
How about you? Do you
Yeah,
compartmentalize?
I keep them crazy separate, but I feel like my strength is more like writing centric. Whereas like you're definitely like one of like the top tier like technicians, so I didn't know if maybe um it was easy for you to kind of alternate, you know.
Yeah, well, one thing I do now to keep my technical sessions more technical, and try not to get into those sound design sessions, is at the end of like when I think the track is essentially done, I stem it.
Yeah, I
Um,
started doing that recently too. That's a game changer.
it is, yeah, for multiple reasons. I think one of the main reasons is like you can really control the tails of things.
Oh yeah.
Like on the one, when like a kick comes back in or something like that, you can just like chop all the reverb tails, and then all of a sudden like that kick is way cleaner. And you can just like really control like resonances of things. Everything becomes like exact. You don't have like synthesizers that are like doing weird phase shit being different every time and all sorts of stuff. Like I feel like even if you put re-triggering on a lot of synths, they're still just like the same. They're not the same like every time. There's
Yeah.
something in the effects chain like a chorus or like a flanger or some weird effect that's going to be different on every revolution. And
Right.
so yeah, in that sense I feel like stemming it helps me in that way too, but it also just helps me not get bogged down into that being sound designy thing. But also like I can't help it, like I'll have all my shit in stems and I'll be like, what if it sounds, what would it sound like if I stretch this thing? And
Yeah, I definitely do that too. But I mean, sometimes it works. It's cool.
Yeah, I find my problem often is that I like overwork things.
Yeah,
Like I'll have like the original render or whatever that sounds like pretty good. Then I'll be like, oh, but I could like widen this more. I could do like all this shit more. And then I'll compare it back to the original render and be like, oh no, man, like the original one was like, you know, if it's had something about it that was so much like just cleaner and nicer.
for sure.
And that's a frustrating thing that I've been trying to get better at. For 10 years and still feel like I haven't gotten better at.
Well, it's like the goalposts will always be moving because the upcoming class of young, 16-year-old kids are always going to be like leveling up, so it's
Right. But it's also, I think, got to do with that confidence shit again that I was talking about before. You know, like sometimes it's hard to have the confidence that your first go at something was fine. You know, so it's
sure.
almost like I feel like anyway, I have to sort of you know, expend all of my options to make sure that it was.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like chess, right? It's like I have to do a shitload of calculation to be sure that I'm confident that my move is okay. Rather than just calculate one move and be like, I'm sure that's fine, you know?
Yeah. But I to me a lot of that is knowing yourself as well. Like I
Mm.
know myself well enough to know that if I think I nailed a mix down, it's fucked up. Like it's not good. If I hate it because I can't get something like just right, I'm getting it as close as I physically can, but I just can't get it, then that's when I know like this is probably good.
Mm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I'm attuned to like a smaller decimal level of detail or whatever. Versus if I'm just like nailed it first try, I'm the shit. Nah, never. I've never had that like work. But admittedly, I'm not like the most like technically inclined producer. So
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I kind of have the same thing as well. Like I know a mix down is finished when I'm tweaking things by like zero point 0.3 dB and like
yeah,
turning a vocal up and down by like a couple of you know zero point 0.1 dB or something. Like at that point, I'm like, all right, I can stop. Like I'm just fucking with things now for the sake of it.
for sure.
Cool, man. Well, I woke up just before this, which was midday for me, and I still haven't eaten, and it's 2 p.m. now, so I should probably go eat.
Cool. Yeah, do your thing, man. Um, yeah, it's cool. It's cool to talk to you. I've like known like of you for a long time, so it's cool to you know, finally kick it.
Yeah, likewise, man. It's always good as well. I think like the podcast, I think is such a cool thing to have during this time as well because I get to just like chat to people and shit. It's great.
For sure.
Um, I have this feeling that like the reason podcasts are so popular these days is because people often won't like put their phones down for 2 hours like we just did and have a conversation, right? And it's almost like people are so impressed by that happening that they're like, whoa, like look at this going on. Like I've never seen like I feel like it's just a thing that, you know, it
That's
just
insane.
doesn't.
That's insane if that's real.
I honestly think that's why podcasts are that big these days, is because people just aren't chatting this way anymore.
I think it's like commutes and stuff. Like when we
Where are people commuting these days?
people are still going to work. People that live in New York are still taking the train. Like that's like my wife Kara. She's hooked on podcasts now, and it's because we used to live in New York, and that's just it brings her back to like taking the train in New York and like going to
Mm,
school. Um, yeah.
nice. Do you listen to other podcasts?
I listen to yeah, there's like one or two that I listen to, but nothing that's like an hour long thing. Like I'll listen to like The Economist has like a good kind of like global recap that's like usually around 20 minutes. I'll listen to that like while I eat breakfast or something like that.
Mm.
Um, but nothing that's just like, like Serial or This American Life that's just like a nice story. Like I'm much more interested in like stuff that I can learn from, especially 2020. Like everybody's on their like self-help shit. So I'm trying to learn stuff. I do actually listen to like book on tape. So that's kind of the same, I guess. But again, I'm still trying to find things that I can learn from.
Mm. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I listen to a lot of Sam Harris, and I also listen to a lot of this podcast called Reply All, which is really cool. It's just basically like all things internet. That's
Okay,
pretty relevant to my interests, given I spend like 90% of my day on the internet.
for sure.
Um, but yeah, man, yeah, it was awesome chatting to you finally, and yeah, I'm interested to see where this chess game goes. It's only moved 10, but it's like a pretty interesting position. I've actually just like had it next to the Zoom call this whole time, just sort of like looking at it.
I'm actually like pretty. I've been disappointed with my like memory because like we'll get to these positions where I'm like, we've been here 2 or 3 times before. Like not exactly, but like a similar. And I'm like, what went wrong or what went right last time? And like I don't have that kind of command where I like just remember,
Well,
you
that's
know.
why like playing the same openings over and over and over again
Totally.
is like really
Totally.
good because like I mean I haven't seen this exact position before, but like let's see, move.
Like
Uh,
you knew I was going to trade dark bishops like
yeah, like
early on.
yeah, like if you go back to move 8, at the end of move 8, I was like, I've seen this position like 100 times.
Yeah. See,
Like,
so that to me, or to like to Gotham Chess, whatever his name is, like he's like, then you have a huge advantage. Um, even if your position is worse, you've seen it, you know, that many more times. So that's actually like, I don't know, I had not thought of it that way.
hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I keep wanting to play bishop e6 or rook d8, but I don't know if either of those are good. Should probably develop maybe something. I don't want to go knight f to d7 because then that'll block my bishop. But I
Yeah.
also want to play f5 at some point. So it's like, I don't know. And I never like playing the. So actually, sometimes what I'll do is I'll play knight to h5 with the idea of playing f5 and f4 to disconnect that dark square bishop and the queen.
Right.
And that can work pretty well sometimes. But obviously, that's not going to happen this game. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, it's an interesting position. I'll think about it for a bit
Do you,
longer.
do you find that you're like when you intuitively try to guess like who is winning at a given point in time, do you feel like you usually have an accurate sense of that, or do you like look back at analysis and you're like, oh shit, like I won this like 10 moves ago, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, so there was actually a notes. There's a notes section. I don't know if it's on the mobile app. Yeah, it is on the mobile app. So in the notes section, I usually write down like my thoughts at each point of the game.
Right.
So I'll be like, move 10, I made this move, unsure if that was like correct, and was also thinking about this move and that move, and like I'll just write shit down, and then at the end when I'm doing analysis, I'll like check it and like cross-reference with my notes to see if
Right.
what I was thinking was like along the lines of the right thing. And like often it's just not even close. It's like, oh no, I was just supposed to push this like pawn or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like it's funny though, because once the computer shows me these moves, like I was supposed to push that pawn, all of a sudden I'm like, fucking this position looks so good. Like, how did I not like play
Right.
that?
Right. Yeah,
It's always
actually, we were talking about this the other day, like, or we kind of touched on it. Like, I like some days all that shit is obvious to you as well.
mm,
And how much of your life does like could be improved by being able to, achieve that consistently. Um, but also how do you do that? So there's a book that I started listening to. It's like, what's it called? It's written by the guy who like Finding Bobby Fischer, that movie.
yeah.
Um that movie was actually about a little kid named I want to say his name is Tom Waitskin. Anyway, the movie was actually Josh Waitzkin. The movie was actually about that kid's life, and so he was like a chess child prodigy, whatever. He dealt with a lot of you know, not necessarily like improving to be good, but improving from good to like master level shit, you know, just mentally and chess consistency and all that. And then after chess, he went on to master um what's it called? Like Szechuan push hands. It's like a martial art, you know. And he went to become a world champion in that. And he kind of breaks down how to learn and like achieve like, you know, flow state kind of shit by drawing the parallels between mastering the two of those. It's kind of interesting.
What's the book called?
um let's see, Josh, it's something like How to Learn. Yeah, The
Nice.
Art of Learning.
The Art of Learning by Josh someone.
Wait, again.
Josh Waitskin. Cool. I'll check it out. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks lately too. I've been just like for a lot of the because I don't like leave the house a ton anymore except for like to go mountain biking or whatever. But yeah, mainly I've just been like walking around the house, like cleaning my house, listening to audiobooks and stuff. I like cranked out a 7-hour audiobook in the last like 2 days.
Yeah,
And a
they're
lot of these
fun. I got into them a couple of years ago. Or I'm gonna let you go. I know you're hungry,
no,
but
no, we can keep chatting for a sec.
I got into them like uh, a few years ago. Like I have this like eye disorder, I guess. Like my eyes don't produce like the oil component of tears very well, so my eyes get really dry and irritated, and I can like, you know, I get like scratches on them and shit. So um that coupled with like the lifestyle of like staring at a computer screen all the time, flying, not sleeping at all, drinking too much, just it just got really bad. And honestly, like right now, like I can only comfortably have my eyes open like 6 hours a day. um
Wow. Do
so
you like use Visine or something like that too?
yeah, I did that until doctors are like, you're gonna get cancer. Now like I've cycle on and off like steroids and all this other shit.
What? That's insane.
Yeah, it's not good. It's why my like production output slowed down a lot also. Just because some days I just can't be staring at a screen. But so like reading books when I take time away from a computer was just like not an option. You know what I mean? Like it got to a point where like if my eyes don't need to be open, like they're closed and I have like a blindfold and shit. Like especially like if I'm touring like in Australia or something, like I'm literally like my shit's just covered because those flights will fuck me up. But that's why I got into audiobooks because I was just sitting there with my eyes closed, like what the fuck am I supposed to do with my time right now? So I just started, you know, listening to books, and yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, damn. Well, sorry to hear. Is that like just a thing you were born with, or is it something that developed over time for some reason? Or
It's I mean, it's I guess it's something that I was born with, but just the lifestyle of being a touring musician like just exacerbated the situation.
Hmm.
Um
But
and if
like otherwise, your eye, like your vision is still fine and whatnot. It's just
yeah, no, it doesn't affect my vision. It's just like in high school, my eyes would always be red, and kids were like, "Oh, he smokes weed, huh? That's cool, whatever," you know. And I never thought anything of it. I was just like, "Yeah, my eyes always get red." Um, but then it got to a point where like I literally couldn't have my eyes open you know, for more than like a couple hours, you know. Like it's gotten a little better since then, but basically the glands, like if they don't work, if they don't function properly for long enough, they atrophy and you never get that functionality back. So now I've like lost some of that, and so I just have to like ration like studio time and stuff like that. um so it's kind of annoying.
damn, that's crazy. Well, I mean, I guess at least like a positive from that is that you know you have a limited amount of time at the computer that you can be working. So it kind of gives you deadlines, which is sort of healthy, I think.
Sure.
Because I feel like if you like for instance I have no deadlines, right, and quite often I'll just sit here all day just looking at fucking Facebook or like, you know, some dumb shit like Discord or like
Right.
just doing like no work. But I feel like when I do have those deadlines, like we're talking about before with the shows on the weekends or whatever, I'm way more productive because I'm like, all right, I only have a limited amount of time that I have to be able to do stuff. So I better like get it done.
For sure. Yeah,
So in that sense, like having a deadline like that, that's, you know, imposed, even though it sucks to have this condition, obviously, is like maybe, you know, some positive to get out of it.
sure. Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's like, I don't know, maybe you're like a lot more disciplined than me and you might, without this condition, just work for 12 hours a day or something.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. Like I still like it's a cumulative thing, kind of like sleep, you know, whereas if I can push it today and work, you know, 20 hours, but then like I won't be able to go out on the weekend and look normal. Like people will be like, "Are you okay? Like you look like a zombie," you know.
Just
Um,
from like not sleeping or because your eyes
oh no,
will,
my eyes will look like some shit out of like 28 days later or something.
oh, fuck. That's crazy. Damn, what's the condition called?
It's called blepharitis.
Damn. Blepharitis. I've never even heard of this. Oh, yeah, inflammation of the eyelids in which they become irritated, red, and blah, blah, blah. Damn, crazy, man. Well, that sucks. Sorry
Yeah,
to hear.
it's all good. Everybody's got something.
Yeah, it's true. Cool, man. Well, sucks to leave this on a low note, but
Oh no, it's all good. But let's definitely I don't know, like I enjoyed this. Like I'd definitely be down to like uh you know, kick it again. I think it would be fun to play one of these games while like you know, on Zoom or something like that. Not necessarily just to like win or lose, but to like to talk about like, okay, right now I'm trying to go for this. You know what
mhm.
I mean? And
Yeah,
then
like just trade
how you,
ideas.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Dude, yeah, I'd be super down for that. Yeah, let's organize a time to do that.
Sure.
Sick. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty free. Let's see. And I'm pretty free on like Thursday morning. I'm also pretty free like most days next week as well.
Yeah, I could do yeah, next week is probably good. Like
Cool. Yeah. Which day? I mean, I'm mostly free on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
okay. Yeah, Tuesday's cool.
Okay. What time? It's like same time, midday.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Sweet.
Sick. Yeah, I'll start a GCal event and invite you to it.
Nice.
Tight. Fuck yeah, dude. All right, man. Well, yeah, I'm gonna hit stop recording on my things.